Okay, so this week is Mental Health Awareness Week in the UK, and joining me on Fan TV today is a legend of hockey in Great Britain, really. It's David Clarke. So, David, you keeping safe and well in these times?
Hi Tom, yeah, doing great, thank you. Kind of obviously different being locked down for the last number of weeks here, but yeah, starting to get out and about a bit more, and yeah, just been spending some quality time with the family, taking in the local treasures that we have here. So probably haven't necessarily explored enough, I would say, since we've lived here in Ruddington, in Nottingham. So yeah, it's nice to be seeing what's on our doorstep.
And obviously, you've been retired for a couple of years now, so you just want to let the fans know the kind of thing you're doing now?
Yeah, I retired in 2018, and yeah, I now work for a company called Instinct Laboratory. So we're a behavioural sciences company. We work in high performance sport, essentially, all the way through to retail, corporate sector. My area focuses on the high performance side, so whether that's through building, design, environmental space, through to the athletes themselves. So very, very, very enjoyable, and nice to still kind of see different sporting arenas, I guess. So yeah.
Are you missing your hockey though?
Absolutely, yeah. I miss that greatly. It's kind of, you do it for so long, and it becomes a way of life. Still blessed to be involved in coaching, and my oldest son's playing. Hockey scores are still a big part of my summers. So yeah, still feed my soul, the hockey soul, I guess. But yeah, obviously you have to grow up and get out and never land and get a real job at some point. And so yeah, fortunate to be in a great spot too in that side.
Okay, so if we move on to obviously the main topic, like I said before, it's Mental Health Awareness Week this week. So the first question about that for you really is obviously kids are encouraged to take part in sport, and obviously there's PE and everything in school from a really early age. So what do you think are the main kind of things on the mental side of things that kids can really take from those lessons and just taking part in physical activity?
Yeah, physical activity, I think, is proven to give you, good mental health and help you feel, a lot more vibrant. The structure of sport, I find, is something which is great for kids to kind of be a part of. It's an ulterior environment as opposed to, you're at school every day, but the extracurricular sport outside is great, force you to mix with different sets and different groups of children. And yeah, it has, it can have a massive boost on your self-esteem as well, because achieving anything in life is great, but particularly in sport, you make some big gains really quick when you commit to a sport. So yeah, definitely really valuable.
And how has hockey kind of helped your own mental health? Because I imagine through your career, there's been highs, there's been lows, and you've been through it all really. So what kind of impact does it have over obviously a career that lasted quite a number of years?
Well, yeah, I think, obviously mental health's talked about a lot more now. And, one thing that for me, the way I've always looked at it is that it's health. You can have this fitness, you can have good fitness and you can have bad fitness. And I think, whenever there are challenges when you're playing or personal life, etc., it's always important to kind of obviously share that. But for me, I think I became a father very young. So, it kind of forced me to probably start to plan and have a lot of structure in my life. So, I had to do that. So I would say personally, I was very fortunate to become a father young, because it forced me I never really could get hung up on, those challenges if I did play a bad game, or the fans maybe being a little bit too hard on me because I was underperforming. It was kind of, too worried about trying to make sure homework was done and what time dinner needed to be served. So you never really could consume me over and over again. So that was definitely nice to have, I guess, an ulterior kind of focus, a consistent ulterior focus. So yeah, but absolutely, when things are going great, it's always, you feel like you can fly. And then, when there's repetitive challenges, yeah, it can be challenging. But again, it's always important to communicate that, and obviously, look to progress.
Okay, and obviously being an athlete or a sports person or anything like that comes with plenty of challenges throughout what is, I suppose, a short career, really. But the pressure never kind of stops because when you're in a team, you've got your teammates, they expect such high levels. You've got your coaches expecting the same thing. You've got the fans in the arena. And then obviously, probably in the second half of your career, there's been the rise of social media and stuff like that. So it doesn't just stop at the rink. So having experienced a bit of that in the second half of your career, what kind of advice would you give to maybe the younger generation of sports people that are coming through about the kind of social media aspect and just ways of kind of dealing with that sort of thing, because they're bound to get comments throughout their career?
Yeah, absolutely. That dramatically changed throughout my career. Early days, I think when I kind of started making a name for myself, it was kind of the forums that kind of became a thing where people would maybe say negative comments and, challenging comments at times. And then, going into the second half of the career, it's kind of, it's blown up, and probably fortunate that I don't fully understand social media as well as my younger teammates when I was playing. But yeah, one thing I would always say is that, you have unbelievable support in your parents, your friends, your coaches and your teammates. And, ultimately, for me as a professional, I'm a professional for a reason, and I'd understand if I played a bad game. I shouldn't really look for endorsement or, even positive or negative if I've played bad. I should know whether I fully committed and I, delivered on the ice that night. If you ever are unsure, especially when you're growing up, because you might be a little uncertain about what is great performance, what's not a good performance, but that's what your coaches, that's what your parents, and that's what your friends are for, and especially your teammates. And they should be the people that you should let judge you, I guess. Positive comments are always nice. Negative comments can be challenging. So you don't want to just accept the good, because once you start accepting the good and then the negative comes, then it's obviously going to have the same sort of impact. So social media is important. It's grown a sport, it's grows reach massively, but that shouldn't be your confirmation. Your confirmation is friends, family, teammates, and obviously your coach. And that's something that I would always kind of look to for any kind of reassurance in my performance.
Where do you stand on social media, like as a whole? Because like you said, when it's good, the comments are good, and I imagine it's probably quite nice to read. But when it's bad, there's obviously those few that will come to players and be like, you should have done this, you should have done that, you're not good enough, and that sort of thing. Because fans, in a sense, can be quite fickle. When it's going well, they love it. Lose a couple of games, and it's the complete opposite. So where do you kind of stand on social media as a sports person? Because there are just such highs and lows.
Well, I just said earlier on, I think, it's the entertainment business essentially that you're in. If you're a sportsman, you ever think it's going to be super rosy and no one's ever going to call you, say a bad name to you or scream abuse from the stands at you, you probably shouldn't be going down that road, because that's sport, and people pay money to go and have their opinion. And like I said before, it's been a big part of sport growing. It's been a massive part in ice hockey in the UK in terms of gaining a bigger reach, interacting more with fans, etc. And also the other side is fans getting to know players, because not always the person is what is portrayed on the ice. So I've never had a problem with social media. I think there is definitely a lot of education to go into understanding how to let it impact you as an athlete, which for me was probably a lot easier to do because it wasn't really instilled in me as I was going up through my career. It kind of came in halfway through, and like I said earlier on, I was kind of still trying to figure it out, so I wasn't still not amazing on it. But for the younger generation, like I say, I think it's going to be a part of the game. Just never look for it for confirmation either way. And it's always nice to read positive comments, but obviously don't let those positive comments kind of rule, how you feel you've performed. Just like if you get the negative ones, don't let that be the determining factor on how you feel leaving the rink at the end of the game. So, some people use it for positive, some people use it for venting in the stands, and it's never going to change. Like no sport can control that, so you have to take it for what it is. And like I said, the positives, it helps gain reach, it helps a lot of people interact and get attracted and addicted to the game of hockey. So, you know, just like I said before, that's a big positive of it. But obviously the negative is the people that, like you say, can quickly turn and get really vicious on there. So, you know, it's I think it's down to you as an individual and how you kind of take that, you know, those negative and positive comments. And obviously the more negative you get, the more challenging it is. But, you know, you've got to kind of really just sometimes shut it down if it's getting too negative, and, you know, go and have the conversations with the people you trust and love.
And just finally, for everyone watching this, obviously it'll be a high percentage of hockey fans, maybe a few players and that sort of thing, but just generally for kind of everyone, what would you say, having been through ups and downs in your career and your life and that sort of thing, what advice would you give anyone that might be struggling with their mental health?
I guess I go back to what I said earlier. Look at it as a fitness. You know, like you sometimes, when you're a sportsman, you're not 100% fit all the time. You know, you do have bumps. You're sometimes a little overweight. You're sometimes not, you know, fully functioning as a physical athlete, and, you know, and that's okay. That's normal. So for me, I would say, you know, there's going to be times where you're not 100% fit, but again, use your support network. Friends and family are obviously super important. Talk about it, don't suffer in silence. And obviously there are some amazing support networks out there, if you feel like you need them. But yeah, absolutely, you just gotta, you know, when you are feeling a bit low, it's kind of, you know, start to communicate that, because over time, the more and more negative that comes is kind of when you kind of drive yourself south, I would say. So that's where, you know, communicating early on when you are feeling a little down and under not your normal self, you know, say something to you know, people you trust, friends, family, and say don't suffer in silence.
I think the point David's made just there is the important one. We have posted on our website some helpful links and information of numbers you can call, you can text, there's web chats, there's all kinds of ways that you can get in touch. If you don't want to speak to friends or family, if you want to be anonymous in what you're saying, there are means to do that. So just for anyone out there who is struggling, like David said, it's okay not to be okay, but don't suffer in silence, because there's so many ways that you can talk to people and things will get better. Thank you, David, for joining us today. Really appreciate your time, and hope you continue to keep safe and well in these times we're in at the moment.
Thanks a lot, Tom. Thanks for having me. And I guess hi to all the Peterborough faithful out there. Take care and stay safe.